Okay, hello everybody and welcome back. This is week number 9 of our virtual learning experiment, so thanks for tuning in. We've got this week and next week left, and then that's it for seniors. So it's crunch time. I thank you for your continued engagement, and we've got just a few things that we want to touch on this week, and then we're out of here. Before we get into the calendar, I'd like to talk a little bit about last week and some of the big ideas that we want to take with us as we get into this week's work. Last week, you read a piece by John Fiske called The Gening of America. We mentioned this on our Zoom chat, but the two big ideas from this piece that you want to take with you are these terms incorporation and excorporation. If you're confused about what those mean, feel free to reach out in the group chat. We can talk about it a little bit more, but those ideas are going to be really central to the work that you do in the final project. Last week, you also were asked to work with key passages from a text called The Culture Industry by a famous mid-20th century philosopher named Theodor Adorno. And Adorno's basic claim is that popular cultural texts create an environment that is ripe for the rise of fascism. And at the time, this is post-World War II in America, when everyone felt like, oh, you know, fascism could never come to America because we have a free economic market, we have a representative democracy, it could never happen here. Adorno was saying, not so fast. Why don't we take some things into account here about how popular cultural content is created and dispersed throughout our society? So if you're curious to know more about what he's saying, check those readings out from last week. We also have a couple handy videos that I think are really useful too. This week, what you're being asked to do is take a lot of these ideas that we've talked about all semester long, all the way back to some of these foundational theoretical texts by Marx and Weber, to other texts like Anderson and Collins, thinking about a matrix of domination approach or a diversity and multicultural model of thinking about text. Take all of that stuff and put it all together and see what you can do with this final project. So yeah, let's get into the calendar and let's talk a little bit about what we're being asked to do this week. For Monday's class, you want to create a proposal for your final project. Now, if you're still with us, you're still going to do the final project. All you have to do is create a proposal where you're responding to some basic questions about what it is you're going to be doing, who's in your group, a potential timeline, materials that you might need, how you plan to present all of this stuff to the rest of the class. It will more than likely be by creating some sort of video and sharing it with us in the group chat. But you're going to be responding to these questions. You're going to post that to, let's see, the Google Doc. You're going to post that to the Google Doc by the end of the day on Monday. Now, if you have some extra time and you're looking for some examples of what a final project might look like, we've linked a number of examples here. You can check out a guy by the name of Reverend Billy. He runs an organization called the Church of Stop Shopping. It's a kind of anti-capitalist activist group, and they do a lot of public happenings or performance art public pranks that I think are pretty interesting. Fun fact, I actually met him at the Washington, D.C. Women's March several years ago, and he is just as wild and outlandish in person as he is on video. So there's that. You can also check out, there's a gag that John Oliver did creating his own kind of televangelist alter ego to get people to donate to him in a tax-free space. And then there was also a joke that a group of, I think like heavy metal fans from Scandinavia did to prank the clothing retailer H&M. If any of this stuff sounds interesting, definitely check it out. It's funny, but it also is it's doing important cultural work at the same time. So this is Monday's work. The only thing that you're required to do is turn in your project proposal, but you've got all these other links there that will help you to maybe hone your ideas. Now for Wednesday's class, you're going to watch clips from a film called Exit Through the Gift Shop. I'm so bummed that we can't watch this as a whole class because it's one of my favorite moments of our class. If you are not familiar, Exit Through the Gift Shop is a documentary that chronicles the street art style of a British artist named Banksy. Banksy is still alive, still creating art. His identity is unknown, and his work as a street artist operates in a kind of legal gray area. It's mostly not a gray area, it's like totally illegal, but what he's doing is designed to raise some important questions about art, commodification, ownership, and exploitation, especially now in this kind of postmodern period that we've been talking about. So you're going to check out clips from that film. They're all posted to the Vimeo channel, and then you're going to write a response paper 4. Now you're going to post your response paper to the Google Doc, and that's going to be due by the end of the week. Now, if you have any extra time this week, you want to watch some other cool stuff, normally we screen most of this film called Adaptation, which is a 2002 film by the writer-director Spike Jonze, and it's written by Charlie Kaufman, and it is just a stranger-than-fiction tale about a Hollywood screenwriter and his twin brother who are trying really hard to adapt, or trying really hard to write movies and sell them in Hollywood. It is a favorite movie of mine. It stars Nicolas Cage as both Charlie Kaufman and Charlie Kaufman's twin brother, who doesn't exist in real life. His fictional name is Don. Also really fantastic. Side note, if you're a fan of the HBO show Succession, the main character, Brian Cox, is in Adaptation as a writing coach named Robert McKee, who is a real life person, by the way. And he is just fantastic. I can't recommend that enough. So anyway, if you want to watch that movie, it's just another example of this kind of postmodern method of storytelling with some really all-star Oscar-winning performances. And then you can also check out a New York Times mini documentary called A Different Kind of Prom. I've mentioned this in class a few times, but this is a story about a young woman from Hamtramck, Michigan, who wants to have a prom, but feels constrained by some of the rituals associated with prom. So she takes matters into her own hands, and her subjectivity constrains her but also enables her, and then she does it herself. And it's a really inspiring story about overcoming obstacles and exercising your agency. So if you have a second, you can click that link and check that out too. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what this week looks like. For Monday's class, you're going to be turning in your project proposal. For Wednesday's class, you're going to be writing response paper 4, the last of the response papers, posting it to the Google Doc. Now, there are a lot of optional assignments here too. I urge you to complete all of them, because most of them involve just watching stuff, and I think it's always fun to watch stuff. So if you have any other questions or concerns, post them to the group chat. Most of the work that you want to do this week is in the service of your final project. And again, final projects are going to be due next week, because next week is like the last week that we have. So yeah, any questions, concerns, let me know. Otherwise, I hope everything is really good on your end. And until we see each other again, be good to yourself, be good to everyone else, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.